everybody. Today is November 1st, and we're doing business and social stories to start your week.
The
and
year
mid
is
your week.
slipping away.
It is rapidly.
Are you guys interested in Devember this year? Comment below.
Last year was not a great turnout for Devember.
I think everyone was kind of feeling a little.
Oh, you think they're not now?
Yeah.
Have things gotten better?
I don't know if we want to do Minecraft this year, because I feel like Minecraft's gotten kind of terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They stole my Minecraft account.
They've taken everything good from us.
They really have. Everyone's really mad about the mob vote in Minecraft now. I don't understand all the full nuance of it yet, but no one's happy with
Explain
Microsoft.
what that is.
So they sometimes will introduce new mobs. So like, I can't remember what they did this last time, but like, say they wanted to do new sheep or pigs or bats or whatever, and then they'll put it out as a poll for people to vote on. And people were like, why can't we just have all of them? Stop making us vote for it.
It doesn't seem like it's that hard, but they're probably trickling it out to try and keep Minecraft going as long as possible.
Engagement challenge. Yeah. So I guess let us know. Comment below. Like, what's the gaming challenge for Devember? What's the dev challenge? What would you be interested in? Or comment on the forum. There'll probably be a thread there for that.
But don't comment unless you intend to do something.
Yeah.
Because a lot of you, I understand having good intentions and then abandoning it, but there's a lot of that.
Yeah, I'd be fine even if we just wanted to like spin up a server or something just to have fun. Like, that'd be fine. But
Well, you know where they're not having fun, and we've covered the saga of this poor city for quite some time, and that is San Francisco.
Dropbox is handing over 25% of its San Francisco HQ back to the landlord, and commercial real estate softens. Was this the one that had the quote from the landlord that was just, I don't know what we're going to do with this?
Yeah, they also point out that Uber is subletting to OpenAI, so rather than give it back, they've found another customer, but nobody wants San Francisco real estate at this point.
I'm always blown away that Uber needs like a 50% margin to operate. Uber should be run by like 7 people. It should be the SQL Lite of apps. There's like 3 people to do everything.
And this is sad because, you know, we're constantly talking about the chip war and where everybody's going and what they're doing. And we had some hope that some of the smaller chip people could step up and become powerful and challenge the big ones. Apparently not.
SiFive lays off hundreds of RISC-V developers. Weirdly, though, for a lot of the positions they laid off, they opened up similar positions in India.
It's weird how that works, huh?
Weird.
ARM was supposed to be like purely British and we're going to do everything here. And now we have RISC-V that was going to be like, oh, the other alternative. It's just doing the same thing. And Intel has their new chips, which were somewhat panned for being not that big of a change. But
same. Literally the same.
Well, no. They're insisting that there's new stuff.
Intel's new 14th gen CPUs get a boost to gaming performance with an APO feature. APO. There's 2 games that support it right now, Metro Exodus and something else.
Rainbow Six.
And this is a program that sits in the back and talks to the hardware. And the combination of the driver and the thing that talks to the hardware makes the game run faster because it schedules it better. This is not Thread Director or anything like that. This is something for the game. This theoretically should run great on 13th gen. I mean, it seems like there's a 99.999% chance that this would run completely fine on 13th gen. I expect hackers to unlock whatever is required of this to make that work. And 12th gen is a little more iffy. It does also require BIOS support, so maybe some of the problem here is that board vendors just don't want to provide the BIOS hooks for the driver to control what the CPU is doing. But it seems really weird. Like, just would you spit in the face of the people that bought 13th gen to be like, oh yeah, you don't get this feature? And it's like, what?
you don't have to ask me twice. I'll spit in anybody's face.
Well, we do not know the answer here, but because of the power of time travel, by the time you watch this, you will already have the answer. You just have to go Google it.
M3 series MacBook Pros to be the focus of Apple's October 30th event. This is on Mac Rumors. What's really, really nuts here, though, is that Apple announced this right after Qualcomm announced their new fire-breathing mobile chip. Yeah, and Apple never does that. So is Apple's, like the M3, again, is probably like plus 2% over the M2, and it probably runs hotter and uses more power. That's not a good sign.
But this maybe is a good sign because we always want more competition in the desktop chip market.
Qualcomm Snapdragon X Elite chips promise major PC performance. The details around this were a little cloudy, and I don't trust Qualcomm to be honest in their presentation. But they say that at the same power, it's faster than the M1, and at more power, it's 30% less power or more performance for the same power. Not dramatically more performance. Yeah, it's like I don't know if I believe this, but we'll see.
Interesting new player in the game.
It's weird though, because if you could roll the clock back and Qualcomm could do this when the Surface X launched, which was before the M1 MacBook, the world would be a vastly different place. But instead, the executives were like, we can use ARM CPUs to make the cheapest, crappiest tablet ever. And so it's been hard to get everybody's mindset out. It's like, no, we have to build a premium experience that's really good.
A vastly different space. I think it would have stopped the wars.
Everything would have been way better. We'd go right back to like 2015.
I think it would have been like in the Bill and Ted movies where it's like the right song came out and it united the world.
Well, if that's the path to utopia, then maybe Nvidia is yet another possibility for us to save ourselves.
Nvidia to make ARM-based PC chips and major new challenge to Intel. It's like, oh, the hubris. Because, in a world where PC buying parts is down and SiFive is laying off people and the flash and mechanical storage industries are about to commit seppuku, Nvidia's like, we're going all in on ARM. And it's like, all right, you do you. That sounds good.
And a lot of big tech CEOs, they make some terrible decisions. And they stick by them, and they're like, no, we really did the right thing. And then one day they're like, you know what? Maybe it was a mistake.
Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella admits that giving up on Windows Phone and mobile in general was a mistake.
It's a market that's grown.
I think that we've all collectively forgotten how to make something that's useful, that's mobile, or just even things like remote desktop is weirdly broken. If you remote desktop into a computer and then you go somewhere else and try to remote desktop in from another computer, the first computer's like, oh, I got disconnected for some reason. Let me reconnect over and over again. And then remote desktop gets weird. Like, nobody's testing this anymore at Microsoft. It's just like if you don't use a web browser to go to a web page and everything you need doesn't live in that one web page, it's just F you.
That's literally Teams earlier. I was like, I'd messaged you guys and it was like, oh, I'm not going to send that message.
Yeah. Just nobody tests. Nobody cares.
Do you think that Mark Zuckerberg reads that headline and has even an ounce of self-awareness?
No.
Well, Apple, they released a new watch, and much like some of those chips we were talking about, it was not wildly different from last year's watch. And in fact, the big new feature wasn't even ready for the hardware launch, but it's ready now. And if you've got the Apple Watch, you can get it and try it.
The Apple Watch's double tap gesture points at a new way to use wearables.
So you don't have to touch the screen. You just have to do this. That's almost like the OK symbol.
I was imagining a scenario where you do this symbol, like, and it changes your language on your watch to Italian.
It'd be great if you could, like set your own symbol, like train it on whatever.
Yeah.
And you're just doing gang signs.
I want to do this for answering the phone, like hello.
That would be cool. Moshi Moshi, Wendell desk.
So, look at these white supremacists. It is somewhat programmable, but not completely programmable. So they point out, like in music, you can choose the double tap could be a pause or it could skip to the next track.
I also like that this article goes out of its way to point out, like now, if you had the accessibility gestures, because if you're motion impaired or you can't touch the screen for some reason, there was an accessibility feature on these phones for years where you could do gestures like that and the motion detector would detect it and it would react to that as an accessibility feature for people that are motion impaired. And this article goes out of its way to point out, it's like, no, it's not that. Well, it is that, but it's been enhanced. They said, oh, we didn't even think that would be a feature that could be used this way. And now we've made it absolutely, way better.
Kind of a use case of like testing it with people you wouldn't expect is actually a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that I don't think they test very much is the entertainment centers in modern vehicles.
This article blew my mind.
Because they are total trash. And it blew my mind as well because in my old beat up truck, I don't have an entertainment center. I just have a radio. And I can't stand to listen to commercial radio because there's so many commercials. I only listen to NPR, which also makes me angry. But it's better than commercials. Apparently, I'm in a class by myself because most people don't care.
People with CarPlay are mostly just listening to AM, FM radio.
How? Why?
Look at these charts.
I figured for sure streaming would be much higher, like, because I pretty much only listen to Spotify in the car. I haven't listened to the radio in years.
I mean, I guess there's, some lag time of modern cars having that. But what year did we get? Was that ubiquitous? It's been there for a while.
My old car doesn't have a entertainment thing, but even then I had a cable to hook my phone in with.
Or you could just do the little FM thing.
Yeah.
Well, I guess people just want noise.
But you can pick your own noise. You can pick noise that speaks to you.
I don't get it. That's weird. And Apple is, recently they've been sort of more and more kowtowing to the repair thing because I think they've seen the writing on the wall. And at this point, the entire wall is covered in writing. And I don't think they have any other options here.
Apple backs Biden's push to right to repair law. This is, again, it's just Apple. It's like, we want to give you the right to repair, but we want you to go through official channels for that so we can get a cut.
They've also announced that they will, and everybody expected this, but they will apply the California rules to the entire country. So I guess that's good. Not going to affect me. And quantum computing. Now, last week we talked about China had a hot new quantum computer and they were super proud of it, but it was a short celebration.
Atom Computing is the first to announce a 1,000 plus qubit quantum computing. Startup company has upped its count by an order of magnitude in 2 years. Who's funding this?
And the PS5, the modern consoles seem to be moving further and further toward you don't get to own your games. It's been like that for a while. In fact, we've seen many games that ship on a disc where the game is not on the disc. It's just an installer and a license for you to go download the game. They're taking that a bit further, but pretending to continue to give you the choice.
The new PS5's optional disk drive requires an internet connection to connect. The online requirement has raised preservation concerns. Yeah, this is also just terrible. Like Sony, again, corporate death penalty. This is so egregiously evil. Like there was no point in building the disk drive. There was no point in the product. This is just
waste for waste's sake.
This is just preying on misleading a customer. There is no way that a customer would ever buy one of these for any reason if they understood how it worked.
That's wrong. They would buy them in order to use their own disk drive to bypass DRM, which is exactly why the disk drive must be locked down completely.
It locked down to the point where it's just placebo. I mean, you might as well just tape a picture of a CD-ROM on the side of the thing. I mean,
think of the cost savings.
Just wave the CD in front of it. It'll know.
Yeah, I mean, that's where we are at this point. What's the difference between an RFID chip that unlocks the game and the game? It's just, this is the dumbest timeline.
Speaking of dumb,
you can keep track of that timeline with this dumb item.
Motorola demos a smartphone that can wrap around your wrist again.
Who is this for?
I don't understand how it stays.
There's another picture for the presenter, and she's got like some sort of silver bracelet on, and it's theorized, at least by the person who wrote this article, that it's like a magnet. Yeah. So you have to wear a bracelet and then attach your phone to the bracelet.
I was really hoping for one of those snap wrist things where it's like, oh.
We hit each other's a lot with those in school.
Same. Yeah. I liked the fuzzy ones because it's like, oh, look how soft and gentle it is. Then you just wham.
And the electric vehicle market continues to expand and continues to have some growing pains.
Honda says making cheap electric vehicles is too hard and ends its deal with GM.
Can you just put that in the contract? If it's too hard, I don't want to do it. Okay, sign that.
It could also have something to do with the GM's ongoing strikes, which no one is reporting, and there's some stuff there. But Honda's just like, nope, we're out.
Or it could also have to do with the American consumer not being able to afford these dumb cars.
Also graphite.
There's so many factors.
See also the government section.
Now, why did GM desperately want that help from them? It's because they're terrible at this, and they have fumbled it in the past badly.
GM offers $1,400 to the 20 to 22 Chevy Bolt owners who don't get a battery replacement. There's a class action lawsuit that's pending, and there's a good chance that GM is going to have to replace your battery. They're trying to get out of giving you a new battery by paying you to run a piece of software to figure out if your battery is defective. If your battery is not defective, they don't have to give you a new battery, but they don't have an easy way to figure out if the battery is defective or not.
You also have to drive it for 1,400 miles. So you get your money, but then you have to wait ever how long it takes you to drive that many miles before you can go back to them and see if they'll give you the new battery.
The software also limits the maximum charge of your battery in case it is defective to 80%, because the chance of a catastrophic failure increase exponentially when the charge level of the battery is beyond 80%.
I bet there's also language in there. I don't know this for a fact, but I bet there's language when you sign to get your $1,400 that you're not going to hold them accountable because now you understand that your battery might be a weapon.
There is this
The
language
article
like that.
actually has,
Yeah.
it
Oh, I
does
missed that
actually.
part.
There was also a comment. Someone said that they did it, and there was things like you can never sue them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Arbitration probably is how they're going to do that.
So it's like, what? Originally they were doing this for free. It's like, come in, we'll give you some software, and it's like, well, wait, this says that I won't get a battery. I would rather just have the battery, and they're just like, hence the class action lawsuit.
And a lot of these companies are losers when it comes to EVs. They can't figure them out. They're bad at them. But there is one company that just keeps winning and keeps conquering the world when it comes to EVs.
BMW, Mini, Rolls-Royce, Toyota, and Lexus are switching to EV plugs. Whose EV plugs? Elon Musk's EV plugs.
Who else?
He's going to get so much federal money for that.
Well, he might use that federal money that he gets to pay off some lawsuits for this
This is
rotten
strange.
egg. This car is so dumb. Now, we don't know for sure that the final production ones, which are coming out very soon, this month, based on your timeline, will have this terrible feature, but some of the test ones did, and it's a head scratcher.
Even the Tesla Cybertruck brake lights don't make sense.
The photos in this article don't really do it justice. You have to see it
Yeah.
to understand it. Like there's a video that you should check out if you want to
So-
look at it.
It turns off a lot when it's braking.
You
Yeah.
got this light bar. There's actually two lights here. And when you brake, one of them goes off. So the overall amount of red light when you brake reduces
Yeah.
rather than increases, which if you're paying close attention, you might not be affected by. But we have this built-in, like decades of muscle memory
Yeah.
and responses that this thing doesn't follow.
There are other cars that do that. There's a car that has like its normal running lights has 3 lights on the back, like the 2 normal brake lights and the one in the middle. You know, like the one at the top of the rear windshield. And when you hit the brake, the one in the middle goes off, but the other 2 come on super bright. That's okay.
As long as it's brighter, but the issue is this is like
Yeah.
it gets darker. Like
Yeah.
there's less light.
I feel like they were just like, oh yeah, that's really cool, where the middle light goes off, and then they just they screwed it up so bad.
The other thing that about EVs is that almost universally everybody lies about the range. Now, this is a part of gasoline cars too. That estimation that they give you for miles
on
per gallon,
commercials, yeah.
it's in the best possible conditions. It's like, flat road, slight downhill grade with a Category 5 hurricane behind you. But should we allow this kind of thing?
Tesla warns that federal probe into whether it exaggerated the range of its cars may lead to a material adverse impact on our business. I'm not sure about this one because gas vehicle companies do this too. It's, here is the range when you're traveling at 35 miles per hour, no wind, flat surface, and you have all of the accessories turned off. There's no headlights going. There's no air conditioning, nothing. It's just like the best possible scenario.
But I don't think theirs are as off as his is,
Maybe.
especially in cold weather.
Yeah. In cold weather, it's probably way off.
Well, the streaming world, for whatever reason, they keep making it worse. People just keep signing up. What's wrong with us as a country? But as long as you keep doing that, they're going to keep doing this.
Pause ads, quote unquote, creep onto Hulu, Peacock, and Max as streamers seek new revenue. So when you pause, you'll see an ad while it's paused.
I just
Awful.
Yeah. Stop. It's so aggressive. It makes me angry because it feels like it's intentionally trying to steal my attention all the time.
I hate
And
this.
it's such a limited resource now, my attention, and you're trying to take it.
The egregious sin here is that the product changes after you buy it.
Yeah. Well, you don't buy anything.
Yeah.
You own nothing.
Like, oh, today it's different than yesterday. That's unsettling.
Well, here's a cool thing. I mean, well, it's cool if you're thinking in terms of like housewares and smartphones. Hydrophobia is less cool if you're thinking of rabies.
Scientists create the world's most water-resistant surface.
So it's the old silicon treatment thing, but apparently this one is slicker than anyone that's ever come along before.
Are we going to finally realize my dream of having an entire bathroom coated in this, and you just close the door and it comes on like a dishwasher, and it's just the entire inside of the bathroom is sterilized and cleaned?
What's called a wet bath? Isn't that common in Japan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You probably have trouble walking around.
You have safety bars everywhere. You gotta like.
Well, are they going to be coated?
That
Oh,
would be
that's a good
cool.
point. They rust out eventually. Yeah.
You have to have like magnet boots, like in space.
Disposable ones. There's little pegs that stick out of the wall, and you take those down, and it's like, all right, I'm ready for cleaning.
Spray me down.
We all know that the primary purpose of a Microsoft browser is to download other browsers. And Microsoft is not ignorant to this. They know about it, and they've decided to do something.
Microsoft now wants you to take a poll before installing Google Chrome. I'm sure that Microsoft got in trouble in the 90s for this. This was a literal thing. Yeah, it's like, I can't. Why?
The 100-question poll.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Do you think they do that with Firefox? Did it say any, or was it just Chrome?
They're not worried about Firefox
yeah,
at this point.
Firefox is 2% of the market. They don't
There
care.
are dozens of us.
And this is something that we see every week. This could be a bingo card. It's just random subscription price increases.
Apple TV Plus, Apple Arcade, and Apple News Plus are receiving price increases. Hey, everybody else is doing it. Why not us?
Apple TV's taken quite a jump there from $6.99 to $9.99.
Yeah. It's all so expensive.
Meanwhile, the Magic Hard Drive is the thing.
I don't know why people are pirating stuff again. I don't know what happened.
It's because they're evil.
I'm not even, I mean, I'm just enjoying my DVD collection format shifted to spinning Rust.
To them, that's the same. And Google and Samsung have had their problems in the past. It makes you wonder, was this on purpose or was it a mistake?
Google falsely flags Samsung apps as harmful and tells users to remove them. This included Samsung's Wallet, their Knox security application, which does some sort of security verification remote. It's useful for corporations, making sure that your device is reasonably okay. And a couple other Samsung apps.
Well, home automation is something that a lot of companies will offer you solutions to. And time after time, we've showcased how those companies will eventually get bored of that product and they will discontinue it. And because it is a cloud connected thing, it doesn't work anymore.
Your Amazon Alexa, if this, then that automations are about to stop working. So if you used Alexa to talk to if this, then that to do automation around your house, it's just going to stop work because they're changing the product after you bought it.
In fact, that was October 31st. For you, that's the past.
I would like to turn you on to Home Assistant. Like, just get rid of Alexa. You don't need it. Large language models and home AI. If you're willing to roll up your sleeves a little bit, and let's face it, if you're watching this channel, you are. Home Assistant. There has never been a better chance to just build your own Home Assistant stuff, build your own smart speaker, make your house. And guess what? It's not going to change. If you never update it, it's going to work the same today as it does in 20 years.
You might need some security updates.
Probably would need some security updates.
And let's think back to when Bitcoin was soaring in price. And week after week, we had people who were in charge who said, this is a scam. It's terrorism. It's money laundering.
That sounds like Jamie Dimon.
Cryptocurrency is a darkness that must be stamped out.
I'm sure that's an exact quote from Jamie Dimon.
Now things have changed.
JPMorgan handles 1 billion transactions daily in digital token JPM coin? What?
It's the future.
This felt like a press release.
Oh, yeah, it was. But it just points out that they've changed their tune somewhat. However, Bitcoin also had a big week because apparently people don't want to just buy Bitcoin, even though it's designed that you can buy any amount of it and it's easy to invest in. Instead, they want to go to the regular stock market.
Bitcoin blasts past $31,000 as optimism for BTC spot ETF surges.
I think it got to 35.
Remember when it was at 60? Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Remember, was it 80?
60. Was it? It never made it to 80, did it?
Did it not make it to 80?
They made it to 60, like 61, 62.
Anyway, that's good, I guess. We do need alternatives. Now, if you are a user of Microsoft Excel for any sort of actual data purposes other than TPS reports or whatever, you have likely been infuriated by a little feature that it has called auto formatting. And that explaining to people how to change the format of a column, like a lot of the office work that I've done, people were like, oh my God, this is amazing.
I can stop it from doing this obviously idiotic thing. I had no idea.
How did you do that? But in some ways, you could not get around it until now.
Microsoft fixes the Excel feature, quote unquote, that was wrecking scientific data. You had a column that contained something like 12/1. It would say, oh, you mean December 1st. It's like, what?
And even changing the format didn't help with these because there was some sort of scientific notation. And it was like, yeah, let me just rework that for you. Now that's been fixed. They actually changed the scientific naming convention.
Yeah.
Because Excel couldn't do it. And it's always nice to see the opposite of you have to update every 10 minutes or everything's just going to break and everything's going to catch fire. Let's hope that more people use this for our cybersecurity infrastructure that our government is not protecting.
Civil infrastructure platform expands super long-term kernel stable release with a 6.1 based series. What this is the Linux kernel is in literally everything. Linux has completely taken over the universe everywhere except desktop computing, and it's coming for desktop computing. Is it the year of the Linux desktop next year? I don't know. It's on more planets. It's madness. And so recognizing that Linux is ubiquitous in everything beyond computers, it's like, okay, we will plan to support this version of the kernel for 10 years.
And
Fabulous.
if next year is the year of the Linux desktop, it's not. One of the reasons might be this.
Tested. Windows 11 Pro's on by default encryption slows SSDs by up to 45%.
Whew.
Why? Because Microsoft doesn't test anything. They're not bothering with things like right aligned boundaries or even trying to figure out what the physical sector size is on the SSD because they just don't care. Or the people they have working on this don't have a clue what any of that is.
That singular QA employee they had a couple years ago, they're just gone now.
Well, they're deep into alcoholism at this point.
Yeah.
Encrypted SSD can have a little slow.
40% is more than a little. If you feel like you might be suffering from that. Now, they do point out if you built your own computer, it's likely your computer did not pass the requirement test to turn that on by default. But they do have instructions on how you can go and disable it if you want more.
It's also worth pointing out that a lot of these SSDs have a hardware encryption function that could be leveraged. Just saying.
Well, you should build your own PC, but maybe you don't need to if you win this bad boy, which is a very high-spec PC, and you don't even have to give up any money. This is a dark future, I feel like. This is the World Economic Forum future, where you just go ahead and trade your blood.
Liquid-cooled PC with quote-unquote real human blood lined up as a Diablo 4 giveaway. Now, I'm sure that they took the coagulants out of it, but other than that, cooled with real human blood.
That's probably like 0.01%.
Actually, they're going to have a hard time. There are some states that have laws about transporting this kind of thing.
Yeah, what if it breaks? It's a huge... I mean, I guess they probably tested the blood, but like,
It turns
it's a
into
safety issue.
Again, it's been sterilized. There's like a tiny drop of blood.
Yeah.
Also, Diablo 4 was kind of a flop, right?
Yeah.
I mean, not among the whales, but yeah, I think for among the general public.
If you want the Diablo 4 experience, just it's crazy that Divinity is a better Diablo experience than Diablo. That's
Also,
madness.
this you will not even get a chance to win this unless they hit the minimum amount of blood.
In
440 chords.
in Diablo.
Oh no, it's 666 chords.
Yeah.
Moving on to social media, we have a death.
Pebble falls. A friendly Twitter replacement closes its doors.
I never even heard of this one, I don't think.
I don't think people go to Twitter to be friendly. It's not what the users are looking for, friends.
There's some good cat content on there.
Yeah. I don't know. Reddit's got better cat content.
That's true.
It's easier to find. And this was a fun story because it points out the whole idea of the information war. And it's interesting that when faced with disinformation, the quote unquote good guys don't say, oh, no. We should combat disinformation with the truth. They're like, no, we'll just do our own disinformation, but we'll be better at it.
Spy versus spy. How Israelis try to stop Russia's information war in Africa.
That's a bad headline. The headline should be how they spread their own disinformation in Africa to combat Russian disinformation in Africa.
It do be like that, don't it?
The poor Africans, they get the rough end of the technology stick almost every time.
Yeah.
Because by the time the technology gets to them, they've figured out how to weaponize it against humans perfectly. And another company that likes to weaponize things against humans, which is their IP, which is the only thing that they've got that's any kind of goodwill, is Nintendo.
Nintendo's updated social media guides target modified games and leaks from data mining. I think that we should, somebody did a mod for the original Super Mario Brothers to make Wheelchair Mario, and that's great. That's uplifting, and that we should definitely look down upon Nintendo's behavior here, because that was an empowering mod.
I don't know if it's exactly the same, but Minecraft did something very similar to this recently, where they updated their guidelines and it was like, you can't mention the Minecraft brand in these particular contexts. And it's like, why?
Now, this is I didn't include the other story because they covered it here, but also if you're going to do your own Nintendo gaming event with Nintendo games, there's a whole new set of rules about not using the IP to advertise, how you pay out. They want
Blizzard
total
does that too.
control of everything. So if you're going to do a Smash Brothers tournament and there's too many people that show up, Nintendo will come down on you.
This is offensive. This is not.
You can have fun with our games, but only in the ways that we tell you can.
And we get a taste.
Imagine a LAN party with this. Like, oh, you can't use Steam at a LAN party.
Whenever Gabe dies, that's what we're going to get.
Yeah. It's just, this is, how do we, like, can we protect this in law somehow? Like, it has copyright actually maximized to the point that this is defensible legally? And if so, we need to take action, like, now. It's already gotten horribly bad.
What are we going to do about it? Well, one thing that people are trying to do something about is how awful social media is and how it's apparently destroying our youth. And so we have a whole bunch of attorney generals who've gotten together.
States sue Meta, claiming its social platforms are addictive and harm children's mental health. Not unlike the video game lawsuits of the 1980s.
Well, I think this one's got far more truth to it.
It's got legs. It's like, well, we designed an algorithm to be as addictive as possible. And it's like, well, we designed a reward system in the video game to be as addictive as possible. It's
yeah, but when it's like, oh, Mario's got so much better life than me. Maybe I'll take some drastic steps. I don't think too many people were like that. You know?
I wish I could go crawling through the sewers like Mario can.
Probably were some kids that ate mushrooms.
Probably.
But probably not too many. And we keep seeing that Threads, it's bad headline after bad headline, but it's just a waiting game, and they've stayed long enough to win over.
Zuckerberg says that Threads has almost 100 million monthly users. And they are continuing to put a lot of development work into it. They've added a lot of features.
It's crazy that they didn't have a direct message feature, I think, at the start.
It's definitely a good time for them to push toward that as the pay for Twitter thing comes on.
Yeah.
Because people are going to opt out of that. I hope. But the metaverse push has not stopped, and Zuckerberg's insane vision continues to dominate the platform to the tune of billions of dollars.
Meta's money pit. Metaverse bleeds, the bet is bleeding billions of dollars. This is a piece that was basically written by shareholders to try to wrest control from Zuckerberg.
So 23 is not over yet, and we are creeping up on that number. So if the next couple of months are as bad as this month, he will break the record once again. What's their user count in the metaverse?
73.
Who has the money for the equipment to get into the metaverse?
There's a lot of people that really like the Quest 3 headset. There's a lot of people using it as like productivity. They're like, look, I created a bunch of virtual displays for myself. And it looks interesting.
Can you do it for 8 hours a day, though? Or 12 hours a day?
That would be tough.
Yeah.
Well, Twitter also introduced horrible API restrictions and destroyed everybody's apps. And that is, some of the big names are finally saying like, bro, we're not part of this anymore.
Slack gets rid of its X integration. Remember when Web3 used to be all these API integrations in an open API and you could use the platform how you want? And it turns out Web3 is no. It's all about microtransactions and in this case, not microtransactions. The main reason this was removed is because X wanted a lot of money.
People were so excited for Web3. And I don't think it's really brought us anything.
Our last tab today is not a tab that should have been included in the one.
Oops.
Oops. We were having some problems. It was just like, I don't understand. It's like I thought the package name was Google-Chrome, and it turns out that it was, but I just couldn't find it for some reason.
Anyway, that's it for this episode. We'll see you guys on Friday. Bye.